Please welcome Steve Claydon.
Can I start by saying what an absolute privilege it is to share at the very first DEPOTx. And I'd like all of us just to make welcome John and his team to Toowoomba. Give it up for John. I do, man. I feel so privileged that I get to share just a little bit of my story today and tonight, should I say. And can I also say thank you, Mayor Antonio. From a young Gen Y to the guy up the front, I am too so passionate about being positive in this community. Purely because we have the greatest unfair advantage in the world in what we have right now. I've just come back from Melbourne this weekend speaking about entrepreneurship, and there was a big footy game on, and we were speaking at Docklands near the Etihad Stadium, and you're walking through a sea of people and you're just a speck. You are just a speck in that community, but you can come to Toowoomba and you can walk down Margaret Street and you can bump into someone that you know and you can smile at them and you can say hello. And I think that's one of the greatest unfair advantages in business here, is having a community that is behind you. And I can't help but feel inspired by hearing Mayor Antonio, that he's got our back, team. So let's move forward. But I really want to share with you tonight about vision and vulnerability. And I suppose just share a small part of my story, because I'm a Toowoomba local. I've been here all my life, but the last year and a half to 2 years has been the craziest journey ever. And I don't think I could have done it unless I was here in Toowoomba. But let me tell you a little bit about myself, because I know there's lots of my clients here, lots of friends. Amy's here. She's brilliant. She's helping me keep in line. But there's a lot of people I don't know. So first and foremost, I'm a dad and a husband. And this is my wife, Anna, my little girl, Alyssa, who's 3, and little Nora. But they're a big reason of why I do what I do, because I think the foundation of business is family. And people that build great companies, their staff become family. They buy into the culture, they buy into the vision, and that's how you make great business today. But first and foremost, that's a big reason of why I do what I do. And I challenge you to ask yourself tonight, why do you do what you do? Because that could be the first spark of an incredible vision. And for those wondering, man, Steve, you're punching above your weight? Yeah, absolutely I am. Because one thing that nobody knows about me is I love music, I love writing music, I love playing guitar. And all through high school, she was my high school sweetheart. And then she broke up with me and went for another dude for a few months. And I was like, I'm going to pick up the guitar and I'm going to win her back. And in grade 10, I went to this QPAC for like a songwriting competition, and I wrote her a couple of songs, and I'm like, hey, you should come down and like hear this song that I played for you. And then, because I got through quarterfinals, semifinals, and then I was into it. And so she came down, a bit hesitant, but she came down. And then I did my first song, and it went beautifully well. Got to the second song that was about her, got up to the pre-chorus, and then I forgot all the words. And I just blumbled through this song in front of 500 people. But I did the job. She's back. So I think it's a lesson in life and business is you got to be prepared for the head kicks. You got to be prepared to be vulnerable. Remember, it's vision and vulnerability. Because it's going to happen in business. Would you agree? The head kicks happen in business. You get those humbling moments in business. And to me, they just happen all the time. So I'm living a good life. But before I started in entrepreneurship, I was working with Whipple's Volkswagen just over here. And I love sales. Sales is my passion, it's my background. And this is my last day on the job with my little girl, Alyssa. And I was jumping into this big bad world of entrepreneurship and business in consulting, doing sales and marketing. And back in 2012, there was an incentive that if you performed really well on a national scale, you got to go to a free trip to Europe. And I looked around and I thought, I've got to take on the guys in Melbourne, Sydney, Perth to beat them in Toowoomba to get to this free trip. And I looked around and nobody was doing any personal development or professional development. And I thought, if the way that I'm going to win here is that I invest in myself and I learn as much as I possibly can about business. And in 2012, I read 60 books about the human mind, persuasion, influence, sales, and marketing, and then I tested everything. And I'm not sure how many of you have had a bad experience at a car dealership. I won't get you to show your hands, but you probably have, right? And that's because they're doing old school stuff. Old school rewrites, old school photocopies, right? So 80% of these tactics bombed. You'd come in for a new golf and I'd be like, try something at you and you'd be like, Steve, you're an idiot, I'm out. Humbling moment yet again. But I discovered something so valuable about all of you and me, that authenticity always wins. Being true and real always wins. So I took the 20% that worked, I rewrote the 80%, and you know what most of it is? Just having truthful conversation. Being real with yourself. Just hitting the flatline truth. And then I got the trips. I went to Berlin, ate a fair bit of schnitzel. You can see by my double chin there, it was a good time. And then I was going to go into real estate. I really wasn't sure what I was going to do before jumping into business. So I met this guy, big, massive admiration for John McGrath here. Decided against it and jumped into this world of business. And I got my sister-in-law to make up some business cards. And I jumped in. And immediately I was consumed with fear. And I'm sure some of you right now are filled with anxiety, stress, and fear around business. I was too. But I redefined my definition of fear, and this is it. The fear of failure, an emotion that holds you in a bind of excessive thought and limited action, a process that in fact leads you to fear. The way that we get ahead in business today, particularly in Toowoomba, is I want you to be the first to the marketplace. I want you to take more action than you think, because otherwise the fear will over-consume you and you won't get anything done. So I wrote my first book called Sales Juice, and it was a good time. Use it in consulting, a few bits of sales training and things like that. But again, I wrote that book, and I'm going to be really truthful for you right now. I wrote that book for authority, because I was a young 23-year-old at the time, and I was trying to do consulting with businesses, and they're like, what does this kid know? And truth be known, I didn't know much. So I thought, let me write a book about sales and try and use it. But again, it's authenticity, guys. It's authenticity that wins. And people can see it. Every one of you right now has got a BS detector. A few smiles in the audience. We do. Authenticity wins. So then I moved on. And in my first 6 months of business, I earned $8,000. Yes. And my wife and kids, right? Wife and Alyssa and Nora was on the way. And I was like, 2-minute noodles again, kids. Woohoo! Entrepreneurship is the best. Yeah, it's so great. And I thought, what a failure. What a failure I am. What an idiot. Why would I start this business and go through this defining moment of earning $8,000? So I went for the Hail Mary. I went for secrets to closing the sale in the Burke and Wills Toowoomba, and I invited 150 people, and they turned up. Show of hands, was anyone came to that event? Thanks for coming back. Appreciate that. Brilliant. Ugh. And I was like, this is amazing. This is my Hail Mary. This is how I'm going to make my money. And I taught about sales. I taught about closing. And then at the end, I went for this big Americanized hard sell. Quick, everyone run to the back and do a program. And guess how many sales I got? Yeah, good, 0. Woohoo! So I did it again in February. I got 150 people into a room. I did exactly the same thing. Silly Steve. Everyone get up to the back and do this new program. And guess how many sign-ups I got? 1. Woohoo! Best thing ever. And I was tears. I was just like, what an idiot. I put myself in front of 300 people and I failed twice. What an idiot. But they must have felt sorry for me, or maybe it's the Toowoomba spirit or something. The next week, a whole bunch of businesses invited me in. And I managed to earn $78,000 in the week. And I don't say that to impress you, but rather impress upon you that when you are willing to be authentically you, you're willing to have a vision that you're willing to share, you're willing to run towards your fear, and you're willing to be vulnerable, amazing stuff can happen. Please live with vision, authenticity, and be vulnerable, because that's business. And I'm only just getting started, so I feel honored to be able to speak tonight. But talking about vision, this is a big reason of why I do what I do, and this is my grandfather, Tom. Now, grandfather Tom was assaulted and killed when my mum was 18. There was a young man siphoning fuel out of his car in the front of his home in Rockhampton. And my grandfather went out and said, hey, what the heck are you doing? And he got king hit. And 3 months later, he departed from this life. And the way that my family dealt with that, particularly my grandma, is pull up your socks, brave face, let's move on. So I didn't even know his name until last year. The year before, sorry, when Nora was about to be born. I said, hey Mum, I've got a couple of names in mind. Do you want to hear them? She's like, yeah. I said, if it's a boy, it's going to be Thomas Georgie. And if it's a girl, it's Leonora Rose. And she just started cracking up laughing. She's like, what? If it's a boy, Thomas Georgie. She's like, that's my dad's name. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, Thomas. His last name's Jorgensen. In the war, his nickname was Georgie. That's why your middle name is Georgie. I was like, that's pretty cool. Tell me about him. The next thing, she told me all about him. And I'm a black sheep in my family. And entrepreneurship is normally full of black sheeps. People go in the opposite direction of everyone else. And it all made sense. He was a writer in the Navy, and when he finished his job in the war, he became a salesperson. And you look at him, and he's kind of similar. I was just like, this is weird. And at that moment, I realized one valuable lesson that everyone should listen to right now. And that is the fact that we don't know when the end is the end. We don't. We don't know how many more seconds are going to tick on your watch before you stop and it continues. And that made me think of my two girls, and I wish that he'd written down stories about life, fear, money, success. What was the war life? I wish he'd written something tangible that stands the test of time. So over the next 7 days, I wrote my second book, The Diary of a Success-Driven Kid, in a diary format, and I just unloaded everything over 7 days. And what's funny is this is my vision. Is it okay if I share my vision with you? Sorry, is it okay if I share my vision with you? Give me a big yes. Love it. I have sold over 1 million copies of my books. I am a #1 best-selling author. I have written 2 books every year for the last 10 years. I love my wife more every single day. I love my children and am inspired to follow their dreams by witnessing their dad do the same. I have bought a house for my grandma Rose and moved her into better care. I am Australia's leading sales coach and speaker. I have traveled the world inspiring others to take action in spite of their fear. And when I depart from this planet, I'll be remembered from loving, supporting, and encouraging those around me. That's my vision. That's my why. That's what I live in every single day, and it scares the crap out of me to tell you right now, because I could just fail in front of 150 people again. But you know what's amazing about vision? You're going to get some critics. You're going to get some haters. You're going to get the Chronicle right. This is the worst time on Margaret Street. No, it's not. You just need 1 or 2 people behind you to say, you know what? I love your vision. Let me buy in. Let's roll. That's all you need, 1 or 2 people. And I've been blown away by the support of all you guys in Toowoomba, because you're like, I'm in. How can I help? But the one thing you need to get over to get to that point is you need to block out Jenny and you need to block out Barry inside of your head, because you're scared of what they're going to think of you. Let me deal some hardline truth to you right now. Barry and Jenny aren't thinking of you, because who are they thinking of? And they're just wondering what Sally and Jenny are. It's just a big circle that goes around. I just want you, please, if you take nothing from tonight and my small little part, just please take this. Be bold. Be bold. Run towards the vision, and most importantly, step up and say, you know what? I'm just going to tell one person about my dreams and aspirations. 2 people about my dreams and aspirations. 3 people to 3,000 to 3 million to 30 billion. And you might get just 10 people that back you, and then you might build some amazing companies like so many businesses here. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Now what's funny is you're like, I want to be a #1 best-selling author, and then a year and a half after you write the book, January this year, it becomes #1 on Amazon. It's just weird. It just happens like that. But from that, I started a co-working space called Habitat, which is down in Margaret Street, a place that I love collaboration. Bunker Espresso, I know that there's some Bunker fans in here. I've seen you at the coffee shop before. So now I'm just love business. I love collaborating with people, and I've started a book publishing company. But here's the thing. Live with vision and be vulnerable enough to share it. Because Helen Keller once said, the only thing worse than being blind is having sight with no vision. The only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. Toowoomba, we got this. We got such an amazing opportunity ahead of us. let's step up, let's support each other, let's get it done, because now is a great time to do business. So I'm Steve Claydon. I just want to thank you so much for listening. I want to thank you, John. Have an awesome night. Appreciate it.